but honestly, this also worked really well, and I'm probably gonna do it this way from now on.
We're having a little boob situation. So, this is going to be the last of a trio of videos. Because it is December, it's the holiday season, I made myself some gifts. First week was the Crimson Pecans, second week was the Katniss Cowl from Catching Fire, and the last one, the creme de la creme, the pièce de la résistance,
Pièce de résistance.
Yeah, that is Phoebe's New Year's Eve outfit from Friends. I would say, subjectively, but I almost feel like it's objectively, that this is one of Phoebe's best outfits in the entirety of the show. She has some like princessy cottagecore elements to her wardrobe, even before cottagecore was really a thing. But this takes the cake. This feels very fantasy inspired, which you guys know is like my favorite thing, is to make fantasy inspired pieces of clothing. Feels a little historical, but not really another thing I like to do. So it is the perfect dress for me. Now, before moving on, I do want to say that I do know that Matthew Perry passed away very recently. We didn't really know him, but I think for everyone who watched that show, it is just very sad to see someone that you grew up with pass away before their time. I didn't want to go into this without acknowledging that. I feel weird moving on from this now. All right, let's get to the making of the dress. Okay, as far as fabric goes, I have actually been trying to thrift for this project since probably June or July of this year, and I have not been able to find yellow plain fabric. I found a couple of things that I thought might work when I bought them, but one of them was a dress that just did not have enough fabric for me to do anything with, and the other thing was a Christmas gold holly tablecloth that once again didn't have enough fabric. And also, I didn't want to make this Christmassy. I wanted this to be able to be worn anytime during the year. Her original dress is made out of this like chiffon fabric with some kind of base underneath it. My mother was shopping online. She found this floral pattern bed sheet for like $15 on sale. So I went and bought it, and this is gonna have to do. I'm okay with it. I love a good floral pattern. We will decide on the corset later. I think Phoebe's is a skirt with a top that has like a corset built into it already. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna make a dress out of this yellow fabric, and then I have a couple of things that I think could make a good corset to go on top. I just think that will make it the most wearable for me. I think having a bodice with a corset built in just makes it less wearable with less ways to wear it. For the pattern, we're gonna do this one again. Aren't you excited? I just really love the skirt panels on this, and I'll do a little bit of digging, but I do think that this has the closest bodice to what I want. I'll go find a kind of flouncy sleeve. I have a basic sleeve. I think I'll have to expand it and lengthen it to make it that very extra sleeve that Phoebe has. I'm going to take up the neckline a little bit, and then what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it a little large, close it at center front, and have the back have some small tabs in it so that I can tighten it, because here we try to avoid buttons and zippers as often as possible. Okay, let's get to it.
So in the sheet set, I of course got a top sheet, a fitted sheet, and one pillowcase. So I was able to fit 3 of those larger skirt pieces, but I couldn't fully pattern match the bodice pieces, but I was able to kind of fake it to a certain extent. I I then put the bodice together, but at the side back to center back seams, the ones that are like one out from the center back seam, I upped the stitch length so I could baste them together. That way it would be easier to put the tabs in, but I needed to see if the bodice fit correctly first. The top fit pretty well, but per usual, I had to take in the shoulders and shorten the back of the bodice. Then I started working on the tabs. I measured out a ton of 2-inch wide strips and then ironed them to where the raw edges were tucked in and stitched those down.
You know, it's truly cold outside when I wear this sweatshirt, jacket thing. I actually don't know what to call it. Polo? What is this? This morning I also got a lot done. I quickly stitched together the lining, and since I'd sewn these backside seams with that long basting stitch, I figured out where the lacing would need to start, and then from the top sewed at a 3 length so that that could now not be basted, and then from upwards of that point, about 10 inches from the waistline, I cut out that basting and measured how many of these little tabs should go in and sewed those down. And I think it looks really good. This project is like flying by. It's even the fit, which I was thinking would be like way too big, actually ended up being perfect for it needing to fit over my head and then cinching it in the back. So put together my sleeves. I went ahead and sewed the sleeves together and gathered them just a little bit at the top. I think that's all that's gonna need. I'm gonna wait to hem them and see what length it needs to be once they are on the bodice itself. So next step is to connect these to the bodice. We'll figure out the rest of the stuff with the sleeves. I think I already know what I'm gonna do. Actually, let me show you right now. Since this was a sheet set, we have that fitted sheet with the elastic at the bottom, and I knew that I might wanna save this for something, and I actually think that taking this excess fabric, maybe tucking it under and then stitching it with a zigzag stitch, this kind of wrist area on the sleeve, I think that would be a very easy way to achieve that blousey sleeve effect. I'm amazed by how little problems I've been running into, knock on wood. Let's get to it. So as far as fit, it's pretty close. It just needs like a couple of little changes. First, this line is still a little bit off my shoulder, so I'm just going to scooch that up just a little bit at the top of the shoulder. And the second thing that I've noticed today is we're having a little boob situation. This one's fine. This one has like a little wrinkle right here, so I'm just gonna take that little tuck in and kind of fix that issue. We're gonna fix these, work on the rest of the sleeve, and then move on to the skirt.
So for the bottom part of the sleeve, I marked where it would hit my wrist, but also balloon out a little bit. I then marked 6 inches below that point for the hem of the sleeve.
The last thing that I am so excited to try is kind of similar to the wristband thing that I just did, but I didn't know that you could do a similar trick, I suppose, for skirt gathering. I kind of hate gathering. It takes a really long time, and if you want to do it right, you have to do the 3 rows and then take it out at the end so that the stitches don't show. I don't like it. So if I can find the creator that I originally saw this from, I'll pop them up right here and I'll put them down in the description. But what I did was I measured my waist with the elastic, and I didn't make it loose. I gave myself to where it was fitted, but I could stretch it by a few inches if I needed to. Stitch it while this is stretched out and your skirt will be gathered. If this works, my whole world has opened up. I'm gonna be gathering everything this way for the eternity of all time. Eternity. Let's try it.
Okay, so this is what happens when you don't watch the short again before talking out of your butt. So Lizard Lee just had a cord and did a zigzag stitch over that so it could be gathered afterwards, whereas I used a thin elastic and stitched on top of the elastic so it would gather as the elastic was sewn down. I ended up needing a few more inches of elastic at the end, but honestly this also worked really well and I'm probably gonna do it this way from now on. I then connected the skirt to the bodice, and then it was time to move on to
the corset. Yay, we're finally here. The dress is done and it looks really beautiful. I'm so excited. I had two options for the corset. Some of you who may have watched my videos know I like to use quilted placemats for my corsets, or at least a couple of my corsets at this point. Originally, I thought I was going to go for this one, which is much less like Phoebe's, but I thought the orange and the orange, or the goldy orange and the goldy orange would go. This does look more like Phoebe's, first of all. Second of all, I think I like this more. There's something about it. It lightens up the entire thing. It makes it look more similar to Phoebe's. So we are basically going to be recreating the placemat stays I made a few months ago because I love that one so much and I've been wanting to create it again. It's not gonna look exactly like Phoebe's, and we're also low on fabric. So what I bought just in case we run out is some satin ties that I can put as ties. Last time, I want to say it was 6 small placemats and there's only 4 here. So I'm a little scared. We shall see.
So I used those pattern pieces I'd made from a previous video, which I still haven't transferred to paper. And honestly, I don't know if I ever will. I was able to take the batting out of the shoulder straps, but there was too much stitching on the larger pieces, so I couldn't really slim out those sleeves like I'd done before, but it ended up being okay. The corset ended up being a bit too small at this point, but I had some thrifted red pillowcases that I used to make new back pieces. I was also just playing around with my machine at some point, and I found this stitch that I thought was super cute, so I added them to all the seams in contrasting colors, red for the off-white pieces and off-white for the red pieces. Not only do I think this looks really cool, it also finishes the raw edges without me having to do a lot of extra work. I then added the boning, and I'm literally just copying the boning structure from the last pair of stays I made. I feel like the diagonal boning is so comfortable, but is also really good at cinching you in at the same time. I could have probably made this corset a bit smaller because of this, but I still love it. Lastly, I added the grommets and had some gold rope to lace up the corset, just like the original. And with that, it was time to show you the final result.
She's done. Oh, I'm really proud of this and I really like it. I feel like of all the like princessy dresses I've made this year, this is definitely the most princessy. I just want to like twirl and flow my skirt back and forth. I even love the pattern mixing here. I think it is so fun, very up my alley. Also, the dress is actually really pretty on its own, which I wanted that to happen. I didn't know if it would. I can't wait to wear this with my fake pair of Doc Martens on like a cardigan. I think it'd be very cute as like a more casual outfit. This is gonna be the last video of the year for me. I think I mentioned this in my last video. I kind of use the end of the year to look back on specifically things I'm grateful for, and one of those things are all of you guys. We are a very tiny community, but we are, in my opinion, an amazing one. Cannot wait to see what you guys think and what you guys have to say after I post every video. And if you guys have subscribed, commented, liked, just so appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. That's gonna be it for me this week. Hope you guys had a fun time, and I hope to see you back here next year. Bye.